Hey everyone, I'm Steve Harris, and welcome to the show where it doesn't matter where we start, as long as we finish strong. Have you ever heard of the mere exposure principle? I hadn't either before this. It's a phenomenon which says that people develop a preference for things that they find more familiar. In other words, simply being exposed to something makes us view it more positively. In a remarkable study, scientists proved this, as a matter of fact, by judging people's reactions to their own face. And I'll introduce this study to you. Let's talk about you for just a moment. Did you know that you are not that familiar with your own face? The face you know well is the one that you see in the mirror. It's your reflection. That's what you know. In the study, when people were shown a reflection of themselves versus the face that the rest of the world sees, the mere exposure principle predictably concluded that people chose the reflective image of themselves much more often than they chose the actual image that the rest of us see. It seems like a harmless study, but unfortunately what's troubling in this study is that the mere exposure principle extends to the perception of truth as well. Let's talk about Santa Claus for a moment to prove a point. When you were 5, 6, maybe 7 years old, you had been told for a number of years that Santa Claus was coming on Christmas Eve. The reindeer were going to lead his sleigh, and Santa Claus was going to come down the chimney and leave a slew of presents for you under the tree. You heard this so often that you believed it was true. It was supported by family and certainly your parents, maybe brothers and sisters, teachers, and friends of the same age. But when you heard it for the first time that Santa Claus was not, in fact, real, maybe when you were 8, 9, 15, my guess is that you didn't believe it. And the reason that you probably didn't believe it is because you had that familiarity so often prior, based on the mere exposure principle, that you had decided that this story was true. So when you heard it for the first time that it was false, I'm guessing you rejected it. It is a sobering thought about our society and our organizations, certainly the companies that we work for, possibly. We absorb information and we hear it so often that we are certain that it must be true because, again, it's familiar. Sadly, we make decisions based on what we think is evidence, but the fact is it's simply nonsense ideas that we've probably made up. And what does this mean to us as we try to make decisions and try to act independently from the masses? How do we vet this information? How do we verify what's true and what's not? Well, familiarity does not always mean better, and it certainly doesn't mean the correct way. Just because some group yells the loudest or inserts themselves most often on social media or on your TV screen doesn't make it right. It just makes them loud. Sometimes it even makes them a fool. Don't let the mere exposure principle make a fool out of you. And as my good friend and mentor always tells me, pray hard, finish strong. We'll see you guys.